Today's podcast episode is sponsored by TherapyNotes, TherapyNotes.com. And if you'll go over and check them out, they are the #1 electronic health record system for counselors and therapists. They will provide everything you need to make your practice run smoothly and efficiently. And go check them out, TherapyNotes.com. And if you'll use the coupon code Gordon, just GORDON, you can get your first 2 months free. TherapyNotes.com. This is the Practice of Therapy podcast with Gordon Brewer, helping you to navigate your private practice journey. This is session number 136 of the Practice of Therapy podcast. Hello, folks. I'm Gordon Brewer. Glad you've joined us for the podcast. As this particular episode is coming out, we're just coming off of the July 4th holiday here in the United States. And so I'm hoping that you were able to get together with your family and friends in some form or fashion. I know during these times it's just different, and we're having to do things in much different ways in terms of being still remaining socially distant and wearing masks and that sort of thing. And I would encourage you to do that. I just think when you look at the data, it just makes sense for us to all look out for each other by doing those things. But anyway, I don't want to digress down that rabbit hole too far. But anyway, if this is your first time listening to the podcast, I'm glad that you're here. Glad you found us. And I hope you'll share the podcast with your friends and other colleagues. And if you're coming back for more, glad you're back. Glad you're with me on this journey. So it's hard to believe we're already into July and the summer is just plugging along. And but boy, what a weird summer it has been. Not only from the standpoint of how we communicate with others, but how we get together with our friends and families and that sort of thing. But in particularly how we're running our practices, and been a lot of big changes for a lot of folks. In last week's podcast episode, I talked with Danielle Blessing Taylor, and she and I talked about telehealth and how that has changed the way we do things quite a bit. But in this week's episode, I'm really looking forward to you hearing from my guest, Jennifer Sneeden. And Jennifer is another one of those great private practice consultants that's out there helping other practitioners, other therapists and counselors, and just the whole business side of private practice. And Jennifer is really somewhat of a marketing guru. Jennifer, I hope that's okay to kind of put you in that category. But one of the things that Jennifer and I are going to talk about in this particular episode is just how do you market your practice during these times of crisis? Because I think there have been a lot of questions that people have had about, well, should I put the money and effort into that and all that sort of thing? So we're going to tackle that particular subject. One thing I do want you to do is be sure and check out Jennifer's website and also her book and podcast. So Jennifer's website is jennifersneeden.com. And we'll have links in the show notes here and all of that to get to her website. But she's got a podcast called the Own Your Worth podcast, and I would commend that to you. Of course, I'm obviously a big fan of podcasts, but I think the more you can kind of round things out for yourself, so be sure and take a listen to that. And also Jennifer, and we'll have again links here in the show notes and show summary, 2 books out, and one is called Attracting Clients in Uncertain Times, and the other one is Building a 6-Figure Private Practice. So I would commend those to you. You can get those through Amazon and also on her website. So be sure and check those out. So, but before we get to Jennifer, I guess one thing I do want to mention about this particular episode, I realized after I recorded it, I had the wrong microphone turned on during the recording. Just a little behind the scenes things. Most of the interviews I do through Zoom, and I had not checked the microphone settings on that. It recorded me, you got me, but the sound quality is pretty bad on my end. Jennifer sounds great. But anyway, just want to give you a heads up on that. Not the typical kind of thing I like to do, but I think what's more important than the sound quality is that you can hear, at least that you can hear it and understand it and get the content. So that's what we've got there. So the other thing I wanted to share just real quickly is the podcast is probably going to take we might take a week off or 2 weeks off here in July, just with a lot of stuff going on for me personally. I've mentioned in previous podcasts that my wife has had some pretty significant health issues, and she's going to be undergoing some major surgery here in the next week. And so I'm probably going to have to take some time off from recording the podcast. I've got a special episode with the help of my wonderful administrative assistant, Rachel, who does all of the behind the scenes stuff for the podcast, including the social media, is putting together a special episode just on telehealth, where we're pulling from several other episodes where we've talked about telehealth. And so we're putting that together. But anyway, I just wanted to give you a heads up about that. I'm going to be continuing, but obviously with things going on with my wife, I've got to focus my attention elsewhere. But anyway, just wanted to give you a heads up about that. Be sure and check out the resources I've got on the website. If you'll go to practiceoftherapy.com and just go to the cool resources button up there. I've got a lot of great stuff there, stuff that I've put together, plus stuff from other folks, and just different tools for your practice. And I would really like to commend that to you. One particular tool that is just really popular and just a lot of people are using it is something I call the Session Note Helper system, which is a system I developed that you use within Google G Suite. And it allows you to create your session notes just by checking off boxes, and then through the magic of an add-on called Form Publisher, when you check off the boxes on a Google form, it creates a narrative format of a session note. So it saves you just a whole lot of time in typing out your notes. And it was a kind of a hack I came up with and created the templates. But anyway, you can get to that by going to Session Note Helper, just sessionnotehelper.com, and or you can go to the website practiceoftherapy.com and go under the cool resources and you'll find it there. But anyway, just want to make sure you know that that's out there. And just because I know that that's something that a lot of people are using and finding helpful. It doesn't replace an electronic health record system like TherapyNotes, but what it does is just kind of streamlines your time by having a way to quickly write notes using check boxes, and then being able to create a narrative that you can then edit if you need to. So to get to the interview, here's my friend Jennifer Sneeden, and I'm so glad she joined me for the podcast. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome again to the Practice of Therapy podcast. And I'm so happy to have Jennifer Sneeden with me today. And Jennifer, glad you're here.
Thank you so much. I love what you're doing with your podcast, and I'm so happy to be part of it.
Yes, well, thank you. And for those of you that don't know about Jennifer, I'm glad for you to get to know her. And we're going to have just a wonderful, I know we're going to have a great conversation here today. Jennifer's another cohort in this whole private practice consulting space, and she's located in South Florida. And Jennifer reached out to me, and we started chatting, and I realized she would be a perfect guest for the podcast. And we're going to be talking about just how do you manage marketing during times of crisis. But Jennifer, as I like to start with everyone, please tell folks about your private practice journey and kind of how you landed where you've landed.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if you're familiar with the work of the Gottmans, but the Gottmans talk about masters and disasters of relationships. Well, I believe there are also masters and disasters of private practice, and I absolutely started in the disaster category. I opened my private practice in 2007, and I agonized over just the right leather couch. I was doing hypnotherapy, so I had to have the right leather couch. And then I spent weeks perfecting my business cards. Is this blue too blue? And, is the font big enough? And I got everything just the way I wanted it. And there I was sitting in my office all by myself. It had never occurred to me that I was going to have to market. Like, people weren't just going to magically show up. So that first year in private practice, I spent a lot of time alone on my beautiful leather couch, appreciating my business cards, and no clients. Mm-hmm. And I started to get a little bit entitled, like, well, where are the clients? I'm a good therapist. I spent all of this time in school. Where are my clients? And then it took me a few months to realize that getting entitled was not going to solve the problem either. Mm-hmm. So I did what everybody else does. I went on every panel that would take me, and I started getting clients at an average reimbursement rate of $43 an hour. Now, this was not going to get me to where I wanted to go, right? I could not get to where I wanted to go at $43 an hour. And so a couple years into it, I realized I'm a business person. I'm an entrepreneur. Yes, I have these therapist letters after my name, but by nature of being in private practice, I had to be a business person. And this is very much what you talk about in the Money Matters piece, right? And mm-hmm. for me, it was the marketing. I had to learn to market. And so I just made myself a student of marketing for about 18 months, and I was so bad at it. I can't even tell you. And then I wasn't quite so bad. And then I started to get clients, and then I went off panels, and then I became one of the most expensive therapists in my area. And then I started a group practice, and I realized I'm not the only one that sucks at this stuff. There's a lot of great therapists out there who don't know how to market and are relying on panels because they don't know how to get clients any other way. And so I launched my current business, Thriving Therapy Practice, in 2010, and have been coaching therapists ever since on how to market yourself, how to create a revenue model, a fee structure that actually creates a win-win for you and your clients. And I actually now am a total marketing junkie. I love it. But it took me a while to get here because I never realized how important that was going to be to my success.
Right. And that's the same story I hear from so many people, just really thinking about, how do you get yourself out there? Because I think most of us, your story is similar to so many of us. We get to put all of our effort into trying to create the perfect office and just kind of follow our dream and open the doors, and then crickets. And so I think that is just, so true for so many people. So, so as you think about marketing, what's kind of your philosophy around that in terms of?
So the marketing I teach is called Give, Get marketing. My philosophy is very much come from a place of service. What is it that your clients need, and how can I help them? So if we think about you with this podcast, you are putting out to the world. You're not asking for anything. You're just showing up episode after episode, providing great value to people that desperately need it. Now, some of those people will listen to your podcast for years, and that's all they need from you. But many of them will say, oh my gosh, this guy is fantastic, and they'll want to work with you. They'll want to join your program. And you're coming at it not from a come and buy my program perspective. You're coming at it from how can I serve? And that is a big mind shift for a lot of psychotherapists. And so I teach always, like, how do you serve your clients through your marketing? Because when you can come from adding real value, the clients will naturally show up. When you come at it like, I'm chasing clients, I need clients, I got to get clients, where are you? Where are you? I got to get you. I got to snatch you up before you call somebody else. Not only does that feel icky, but it actually kind of repels the clients that you're seeking.
Right. Yeah, that's and what I've learned, just to add to that, is that, marketing is just something very simple, and that is, it's about relationship building, which is what we do as therapists.
That's exactly right.
Right. Yeah. And so just to being able to get that mindset change around marketing is just being able to build relationships in the community, and that old well, it's not old, but the whole acronym of know, like, and trust. It's not an acronym. That's not a good descriptor. But anyway, just that idea of know, like, and trust. People, once they get to know you and they like you, then they'll trust you. And those are where you get your clients. That's where you get the potential.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One of my early marketing coaches, like 2009, 2010, he said to me, 80% of marketing is empathy. And I was like, whoa, I have a lot of education in empathy, a lot of education in relationships. And the moment he said that, I was like, I can do this. I can do this because I can do empathy. And as you said, I can do relationship. And I got it. And that was a big shift for me to think of it from that perspective rather than I need clients. Right.
And also, I think it's important to remember that be genuine about it as well. I mean, because people can see through that. I mean, just be yourself. I mean, that's what people will connect with. It's just
so true. And don't be afraid to be a human. I think sometimes as a psychotherapist, we're taught that we have to be kind of robotic. It's okay if your clients see a picture of your dog. I promise it's okay. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things I know we talked about before we started recording is just being aware of the times that we're in. As we're recording this, we're here at the end of June, and we're still, and I know for you there in South Florida, kind of had that second wave of the COVID-19 stuff, and it's just really, I think a lot of us are feeling just really anxious about, okay, what do we do about marketing during these hard times? Should we even put effort into it? What should we do? And I know you've been thinking about that and actually wrote a book about it, and we're going to share more about that as well. But so what are your thoughts on all that?
Yeah, so the book is absolutely all about this. The book is called Attracting Clients in Uncertain Times, and it is the guidebook for those therapists that, as you said, some people are questioning, should I even be marketing? Like, is it even ethical to be marketing? So I want to start there because this is something I feel extremely passionate about. And let me start by saying there has never been a greater need for psychotherapy services than there is right now. There is so much global psychic trauma that I can't even turn on the news because I get so flooded. And who's going to make this better? The New York Times? No, they are not going to make it better. CNN? No, they are not going to make it better. The best possible people to have a voice in shifting this into a better place, into allowing us to get through all of this difficulty, are psychotherapists. I mean, this is what we do. And when we can step up and say, I'm here to help, I am here to give you exactly what you need, to me, that is the greatest service that we can offer to clients. And when we hide, we don't do anybody any service whatsoever because they don't know who to go to for help. And when coronavirus first kind of kicked in here in South Florida, March 13th is the date that they shut our schools down. So that's kind of the date embedded in my mind. But when it really started to take off, I freaked out. Gordon, I just laid on my couch scrolling through news feeds. Oh my gosh, and look at this and look at this. And I was like, I was addicted. I couldn't put it down. And I did that for about 4 days. And I started looking for somebody to help me. And there was nobody out there talking about this. And I woke up on the 5th day and I said, Jennifer, you just have to start talking about this. And I did a Facebook Live that got over 1,000 views. And I was like, okay, this is it. We need to have this conversation. And so I started really rallying my clients of be out there, get interviewed, do the lives, send out the emails, whatever it is that you need to do, because your clients desperately need you. Right. When you think of marketing as I need to get clients, that's not the mindset you want. But when you think about marketing in terms of people need you now more than they have ever needed you before, and you just need to be there and show up for them.
Right. I totally agree. And that's, I think one of the things that I've, even in the media, we're just hearing more and more about how much mental health help is needed.
Yes.
Because it's just, there's this whole, I like to refer to it as a cloud of anxiety that's hanging over all of us. Yeah. And so, and I think it's, I think who better to help people with that than those of us that are trained to kind of talk to people and help them work through anxiety. And I know I've been making extra trips to my therapist through all of this as well. So, I mean, yeah, I think you're exactly right. Now's the time to get the word out and make sure people know who we are and how we can help.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So what else are you, if somebody's maybe trying to decide if they should market or how they should market, that sort of thing, what are some things that you're hearing from your people and what sort of advice you'd give around that?
So if I may break this into 2 questions, Gordon, okay? The first question is about the decision, because this is a real hot button for me. And then the second, I'm happy to talk about techniques and strategies. So if you approach your business, whether today, smack in the middle of COVID, or 3 years from now when this is all behind us, if you're approaching this from oh my gosh, should I hope, I don't know, is it even possible? Is this going to work out? Let me just tell you right now, just stop and take a week off, because that energy, when you bring that energy, you absolutely are not going to get the results that you want. So, and I was having a coaching call with a client a couple weeks ago, and she was telling me that she's not getting clients. She's not getting the calls. So, we were talking through what's she doing and all of that. And I said, and she was walking me through her day. And I said, so you're sitting down at your computer, ready to market. It's your marketing time, like 3 p.m. she schedules for marketing. What's going through your mind? And instantly, without a second thought, she said, panic. And I said, no, you're not going to be, when you're approaching marketing with panic, you're going to be bringing the wrong energy. You're going to be taking the wrong actions, and therefore you're going to be getting the wrong outcomes. So the first thing that I want everybody to do is make a decision. I am going to make it through this crisis, and I'm going to come out stronger than ever. Because if you can make that decision, you're now coming at it from a very empowered position. If you're coming at it from, I don't know, and should I, and do I even have permission, and what do clients think, then you're not coming at it with, you're not coming at it from an empowered position, and you're not going to get the inspiration. So first and foremost, don't try to do anything until you've decided you're going to be successful.
Yeah, I love that, because that's all about mindset.
Yes.
And just really being able, as I like to tell people, give yourself permission to change your mind about some things.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big part of it. I mean, and we could get off on a whole tangent just around mindset, particularly around money, but marketing is very similar in a way, in that we use marketing to kind of help us generate the clients to make the money. And
That's
so I
right.
think there's a scarcity. Sometimes there can be a scarcity mindset with marketing in terms like we have with money at times.
Absolutely. Very often, the mindset you have about money is the mindset that you bring to marketing. Because
Yeah.
for so many of us, money and marketing are connected, almost synonymous.
Yeah.
And if you're thinking there's not enough money to go around, then you're probably going to be thinking there aren't enough clients to go around. And
Mm-hmm.
Gordon, if you get a client today, that's one fewer client for me, right? And that mindset is not going to get you the results that you want.
Right. Yeah. Say a little more about that, because that's pretty intriguing to me. Just about, how can somebody make the shift with their mindset? What's the case for changing your mind about that?
Yeah, it's such a good question. It's almost like the actions you take are not going to get the results that you want if you don't come with the mindset of, I have something of great value to offer to the world, and I am putting it out there to connect with clients. And people who work with me, I ban finding clients or getting clients from their vocabulary, because those are both scarcity terms. I've got to get clients, and oh, there he is, let me grab him before he goes away, right? Or I've got to find him, I've got to look around. It's all about attracting clients. It's all about putting your best work out there and knowing that people are going to want to work with you. But when you've got that scarcity mindset, you're terrified to put your work out there. And it's probably okay. But when you've got this mindset of, I have something of significance to share with the world, and it's okay for me to do it, now you're going to be taking those strategies and actions that really connect you with those people.
Right. One thought that occurs to me as you were saying that, Jennifer, is rather than a mindset of, I've got to go find clients, is you set things up so that clients can find you.
Yes.
Because they need and want our services. And so
That's
I think
exactly right.
Yeah, and so it's just a matter of being able to make yourself be found and make yourself available to people so that they can find you.
Yes. And I talk a lot about this in my book. I have a whole chapter. I call it Overcoming Invisibility. So many therapists are their own best kept secrets, and they want a 6-figure practice. They want to make an impact on the world. They want to make the world a better place. And they're seeing 6 clients a week or making 40 grand a year. And there's this huge gap between where they are and where they really see themselves. And if you're not approaching that gap from a place of possibility, it can get a little bit discouraging.
Right. Yeah. I love this stuff. Just thinking about how we do this, and I think with at least the trend that I've seen, we've been fortunate here where I live, in that we've not been affected that much by the COVID-19 virus, but actually, I saw more of an increase, even though we had switched over to 100% telehealth through April and May, at the end of March and through April and May. We were just as busy during that period doing telehealth as we were, seeing folks face to face. Now we've transitioned back to the office. We're keeping an eye on things and taking all the necessary precautions that we feel like we can take. But it's not slowed down at all. And I think a big part of it is that we had really made up our minds that, okay, let's make sure people know that we're still available and that we are here and we're here to help. That was just, we didn't label it marketing at the time, but that's what it was.
Yeah. In marketing terms, I would call that assuring stability. I'm here for you. Yes, we're going to be on Zoom, but I am still here for you just like I always was. And that's exactly what clients need to hear right now.
Right. Yeah, go ahead.
If I could just speak for a minute of you being busier than ever, that is a sign of a very healthy practice. So I noticed that my clients who are in, let's call it the upper six figures, maybe 200,000 and above, maybe 150 to 200,000 a year, have not been at all impacted revenue-wise by this. They still have the client flow. They transition people over to telehealth. They have just kind of not even been an issue, particularly those clinicians that have private pay practices. Where I've seen people interrupted, and this is a little harsh, but I feel like I really need to say it. The people who have been the most interrupted are either new practices that never got the foundation going, or those practices that didn't have a system in place for their business yet. So they didn't have a system for client flow. They didn't have a system for outreach. They didn't have a strong presence that made them visible. And then what happened when everything shut down is these problems bubbled up. And what I have seen from this tier, the newer clients and the clients that were just sort of getting by until all of this hit, was there are no new problems. It's just they're problems that they could tolerate or problems that they could kind of ignore. And now they can no longer ignore them. And because of this, they're now really in a scarcity of clients.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's and I think about people starting, maybe just getting started with their practice. There's one of the things that I've seen when you mention, practices that are in, the six-figure range in terms of their income. It's like once you reach a critical mass of clients, it's like the spigot gets turned on at that point. And so a big part of it is just in those early stages is like we said already, is making sure people can find you.
Yes.
Lots of different ways, but also, like you said, not sticking your head in the sand around the business side of things, yes. And making sure that you understand that, again, you're talking my language. You've got to know your numbers. You've got to know, where things are coming in, where they're going out, and understand how all that fits together. So, yeah.
So I would kind of conceptualize this a little differently. That I think there is the expectation, again, particularly in new practices, that they reach critical mass, and then, as you said, the spigot has turned on. But I think you have to learn to turn the spigot on. When you start in practice, you just kind of presume that clients will find you. Mm-hmm. But in order to reach that critical mass, you've got to do that spigot turning on work of mm-hmm. knowing what to charge, being visible, able to convert clients, like all of these things. And if you don't yet have the client flow, or as you say, the critical mass that you want, it's nothing more than an indication that you have not yet fully learned how to turn that spigot on.
Right. Totally agree with that. Yeah. Wow. This we could talk for hours, I'm sure, Jennifer, on this stuff.
I love this stuff.
Yeah. But I want to be respectful of your time, and I'm so glad you came onto the podcast. So tell folks how they can get your book, and also how they can talk to you if they'd like to get in touch with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So my book is available either on Amazon, or you can get it through our website at theattractingclientsbook.com. And if you get it from our website, we've got a few little goodies that we're offering as part of it. And it's theattractingclientsbook.com. The book is called Attracting Clients in Uncertain Times. And I am really excited about this because this really is the guidebook to get your business not just through COVID, but come through stronger than ever, which is what I want for everybody. Mm-hmm. If you want to learn more about me, my website is jennifersneeden.com, or I'm on social media at Jennifer Sneeden.
Right. And we'll have all these links in the show notes and the show summary for people to get easy access to them. So, Well, Jennifer, thanks again for being on here. And I know already we talked about this ahead of time. One of the things that we're going to do a follow-up episode with here in the near future is just around money mindset and
Yes.
money, how money matters in your practice. And I think sharing your expertise on how to price your practice is going to be something that's going to be real interesting to folks.
Perfect. I love it. Thank you so much.
All right. Take care.
Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed hearing from Jennifer, and I'm so glad she was able to join me for the podcast. And it was really great to get to know her, and just that whole conversation around mindset is just really, I think, so important. And that mindset not only around our ideas about marketing, but also around our money and all of those kinds of things. Yeah, because I think one of the things that holds us back most in private practice, or really any business for that matter, is the mindset we assign to it. And we know that just in working with our clients too. You know, if you think about it, probably a big part of your work with clients and your patients is just around helping them change their mindset about themselves and about their relationships and all of that. So anyway, we get it. So anyway, again, I'm so grateful to Jennifer for joining me for the podcast. Be sure and check out her website, jennifersneeden.com, and also be sure to check out her books. The one on marketing during times of crisis, and then the other one on building a 6-figure private practice. And again, there'll be links here in the show notes and on the show summary page for those books and other resources that Jennifer has. And also be sure and check out our sponsor for the podcast, TherapyNotes, therapynotes.com. And if you'll use the coupon code Gordon, just GORDON, you can get 2 months of their services for free. I'm really appreciative of TherapyNotes and how they have supported the podcast. And as I've mentioned before, they're who I use in my practice, in addition to using Google G Suite, which you've heard me speak about before as well. I use the two in conjunction with each other, and it just really creates a great system for me in my practice. So be sure and check them out. Also, be sure and check out the cool resources page on the Practice of Therapy website. Just go to practiceoftherapy.com and just click on the button there at the top that says cool resources. And you'll find just a ton of materials there and resources that you can use in your practice just to be helpful for you. And I'm constantly adding to those. And so be sure and check those things out. So, well, take care, folks. I hope you will have a good start to July, and hard to believe that we're into the month of July already, as I said earlier. But anyway, hope you're having a good one. Do take care of yourself. Stay healthy. Do what you can to change the world on so many different fronts. And I know that you're out there on the front lines working with people, helping those that need our help the most. And I'm so grateful to you for doing that and being with me on this journey. Do take time to subscribe to the podcast if you haven't done so already, wherever you might be listening to it, whether it be on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or Stitcher or Google Play or iHeartRadio. We're on just about all of the podcatchers that are out there. And so if you're listening to it, be sure and subscribe to the podcast and share it with your friends. I love to hear when people share the podcast and leave us a review as well. That's always helpful in helping other people find us and being able to boost our ratings. So anyway, take care, folks. Hope you have a good rest of your weekend, whenever you might be listening to this. You have been listening to the Practice of Therapy podcast with Gordon Brewer. Please visit us at practiceoftherapy.com for more information, resources, and tools to help you in starting, building, and growing your private practice. And if you haven't done so already, please sign up to receive the free Private Practice Startup Guide at practiceoftherapy.com. The information in this podcast is intended to be accurate and authoritative concerning the subject matter covered. It is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, or producers are rendering legal, accounting, or clinical advice. If you need a professional, you should find the right person for that.